Welcome to Ultimate Survival Gear. Today, as you guys can see, I have something else from Columbia. Haven't had Columbia on this channel for a while. And these are their new Columbia Vitesse Outdry hiking boots. Now, I have reviewed their Fast Track Vitesse version and I was really impressed. I mean, for the price, it's really hard to go wrong with this boot or shoe, however, sneaker you want to refer to it, because it's really everything in one. And I think this particular version is even better. Currently $95 on Amazon. The link is in the description below. So let's start the review. As some of you know, this is not just a regular boot review. This review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival boots section. Yes, basically, if something bad happened and you were wearing these, or maybe you had them in the house and put them on because something bad happened and you had to leave your house and now you had to travel for miles and miles and miles. You had destinations somewhere in another state that you had to walk, or maybe you were driving and then you ran out of gas and now you had to walk until you reached the safety, and on the way you had to fight, climb, sleep in these without taking them off because you have to be ready to run, waking up in the middle of the night. Listen, come up with your own survival scenario, right? Would this be good for that survival scenario? Well, how do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin. Criteria number 1, comfort level. And in order to test the comfort level of all the boots and shoes that I review on this channel, I do a 3-mile run non-stop and then a 5-mile walk non-stop, and then I continue wearing these for the rest of the day so that the total wear time is about 8 hours. Yes, sometimes it's pain when you have heavy boots. When I do have to review those, it's a pain, but this was not the case with these. These were actually really good. So, I do love the comfort level of these shoes. Thank you very much, laptop. I do love the comfort level of these boots. There are a few factors that contribute to that comfort level. The very first one would be the weight. And I got my scale right here. This is size 10. And the size 10 is, wow, 14 ounce. That is extremely impressive. Now, if to give you kind of a reference numbers, if you were looking for something lightweight, meaning that you can run, you can walk for extended periods of time without any problems, without the fatigue from the weight on your feet, you want something under 20 ounce. The more under 20 ounce it is, the better. Obviously, the lighter. The more over 20 ounce it is, then you start feeling that weight on your feet. 14 ounce is excellent for a mid-size. This is mid-size boot with decent amount of protection. We will talk about all that later. Is excellent. 14 ounce is fantastic. So you actually can run without any problems in these boots. Another thing that allows you to run properly and contributes to the comfort is the flexibility of the outsole. And as you can see, it's just perfectly flexible enough. It's not too flimsy, it's not too stiff, it's just right. Excellent job there, Columbia. But we keep on moving on further now into the inner sole, and I'll try to take it out so that you can see exactly what it looks like. There we go. And as you can see here, you have decent arch support, you have decent heel bed, and overall decent amount of cushioning. Not too much, but it's firm enough to not feel like it's cotton candy or something. But it gets better, because once you remove that inner sole, you also have another layer of cushioning here, and it's that very nice jelly blue layer that sometimes you find in the boot, sometimes you don't, and I absolutely love this. So great job, Columbia, for implementing that. Now, let's move on to the padding. As you can see, the tongue is very nicely padded. The shaft is nicely padded. Throughout the whole boot, you have decent amount of padding, except at this very front of the toe box, which is fine. It's not a big deal as long as you get them in the right size. But everything else feels very nice and comfortable. Plus, you probably noticed this little sock liner basically on top, which I think is a great idea. It definitely adds to the comfort. It adds to the looks, and even adds a little bit to the water resistance as well. Just a little bit to kind of give extra coverage. Why not? Excellent job, Columbia. Comfort-wise, this is really good. Let's move on to the criterion number 2 now. Proofing and protection. So, proofing wise, yes, these are waterproof. You can barely see that label over here. It says Outdry. This is Columbia's own waterproofing technology, and honestly, it worked pretty good in my personal experience. I have a couple of Columbia boots that I use on a regular basis with the Outdry technology, and it's been pretty good. You can't really compare it to Gore-Tex. Obviously, Gore-Tex is going to be superior to Outdry, but it's much more expensive compared to the Outdry. So it's kind of a good balance. If you want to save some money, Outdry works just fine. Now, protection-wise, you do have a few protection features here and there, like this, for example, reinforced toe box over here, the front. It's still soft, so if you drop something heavy on it, you're still gonna feel it big time. But on a rocky road, some small rocks, this is really good. Of course, you have protection in the shaft with all the padding, the heel is reinforced, and you have a very good quality hard rubber on the outsole, which will give you protection from the bottom as well. So let's move on to the criteria number 3 now, quality and the design features. Quality wise, Columbia has been fantastic. They do a great job, and even if you click on the link in the description below for the Amazon, you will see that there are over 280 reviews. Even though it's a pretty new boot on the market, over 280 reviews already, almost 5 stars. So people do like these boots quite a lot. And I mean, Columbia, I had my main Columbia boots, which is the Newton Ridge, since already almost 3 years, and I'd taken them on some serious hikes, and they're still holding up very well. So Columbia's, I trust them whenever it comes to the quality. Now, design features, whenever we talk about design features, I talk about the lacing system. Not much to talk about here. Very basic lacing system, no hardware at all, just regular hooks, basically not even the hooks, the holes in the fabric that the strings go through. Although I wanted to point out that there's decent amount of distance between the hole and the end of the fabric, so it will last way longer than some, because sometimes I see they put holes right there by the side and they just rip out eventually. Here, that's not going to be the case. I'm not a fan of flat, thin strings, but not a big deal. It's not as easy to tighten these boots, but again, for the price, you can't really complain. Let's move on to the criteria number 4 now, outsole traction and stability. So, whenever I do my run and my walk, I do it on a variety of different surfaces, starting from older asphalt and the newer tarmac. Then I go into the dry sand, wet sand, dry grass, wet grass, trail surface, rocky road, concrete, rubber, marble tile, and then the rock wall. These perform great on pretty much everything you throw at it. There's great balance between aggression and flatness. As you can see, for the most part, it looks very flat. So whenever you're walking on surfaces like sand, or even wet sand, like muddy surfaces, you don't really dig in too much into it, and there is really no weird grooves where that mud can kind of accumulate, making it more slippery, making it heavier. Not the case here. And at the same time, there is decent amount of aggression, especially, I mean, all of these grooves are very aggressive, especially because the rubber is so hard and because the grooves are so short. So on the wet grass, it gives you a good bite, and for hiking in pretty much anything, for trail running, this is a really good option. So I am very impressed with this outsole. The only thing I kind of wish there was some ridges on the sides here to help you with climbing. Depends on what you're climbing, like a tree or a rope, for example. That would be great, but again, this is just me being very picky. Not a big deal. So, excellent job, Columbia. Let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quickly, temperature. Now, these are not winter boots, by no means. They're not insulated, even though they're waterproof. And speaking of waterproofing, I wanted to point out here the clearance that we have from the gusseted tongue. As you can see, the tongue is gusseted, and it goes up to about here. So you have about wrong side, about 5 inches of clearance for waterproofing, and the lowest part of the shaft is about 5 inches. So they utilize pretty much most of the shaft length. Again, great. So it will be fine if you implement some insulated socks. You might get away with some mild winter temperatures. But again, keep that in mind. This is not, and the outsole, I mean, it's gonna be handling fine on the snow, but on the ice it's gonna be slippery. I mean, everything is slippery on the ice unless it's an ice boot. So, but for the hot temperatures, this is great. This is very nice and very breathable. So I would say more of a 3-season. Let's move on to the criteria number 6, the sizing. Now, whenever it comes to the sizing, they do run a little bit on the bigger side. Keep that in mind. Usually, I recommend getting half a size bigger than your normal shoe size to have a little bit of extra space in the toe box for extra comfort. But here, I would say get the size that is your size. So if you're size 9 in your sneaker, whatever, get the size 9 in these, and they will still have that extra space because they run a little bit larger. Unless, of course, they will fix. It happens sometimes. I've seen it being fixed. They just change the sizing and they adjust it. But for now, they do run a little bit bigger. Let's move on to the criteria number 7, the balance of application. So, if this was really your ultimate survival boot, would this be good? Would it help you to survive? Honestly, if you have been watching any of my reviews, you know that this is the stuff that I like. I like the mid-size, I like the waterproof, I like the well-balanced, versatile outsole. I like it whenever it's comfort. Comfort is one of the most important things for me. It has to be comfortable. I mean, if we're talking about the ultimate survival situation, we're talking about miles of walking, running, so you have to switch in between all of these things, and you have to have a good, balanced, versatile boot. And I think this is excellent. Not only that, one more thing that I wanted to point out. Usually I don't talk about it in my reviews because it's personal, you know. Design, it's really, whether you like it or you don't like it, it's up to you. I really don't care. It's up to you. But in my opinion, because this is a very mild design, something that you can wear on a daily basis, kind of like a sneaker, that adds a lot to this being a good ultimate survival boot, because you're probably gonna end up with what you're wearing. Because survival situations, you can't really prepare. You can prepare for them, but they happen unexpected, all right? So you don't want to go home and change and then survive, right? You want to survive right there and right then. And if you are wearing, obviously, during your survival situation is what you're going to be stuck with. And this you can wear on a daily basis because it looks like a cool sneaker shoe, basically. That's it. And they have plenty of colors. They have like 6-7 different colors. Again, the link for the Amazon is in the description below. And that brings me to the very last criteria, number 8, the price. $95. I think it's an excellent price. Is there competition in that price range? Yes, there is some pretty good competition in that price range. A little bit more expensive, maybe $20-$30 up. Salomon's really good. La Sportiva, again, more expensive. For the same price, there are a few Columbia decent boots. There is a decent Timberland, Flume, I think. Yes, Flume. It was pretty good. So there is some competition. But personally, I think in that specific price range, in this particular category, probably this would be my choice because of all the features and the way they were made and the way they look, again, because I can wear them on the daily basis and be happy with them. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think about this review? What do you think about these boots? If you have any requests for reviews, drop them in the comments below. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Ultimate Survival Gear. I'll see you guys in the next video.